Good afternoon, Your Honours, Honourable Justice, members of the Alberta Order of Excellence, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Today, we have a very great pleasure in welcoming 9 outstanding Albertans to the Alberta Order of Excellence. It is the highest honour that this province has to offer, and it is included in Canada's National Honours System. Since it was created in 1979, only 229 people have become members, including the 9 that you are about to meet today. And in considering that our province is home to nearly 4.9 million Albertans, you can appreciate how rare and how significant this honor truly is. Each year, the AOE Council considers many worthy nominations from across the province, and it represents a diverse range of contributions and endeavors as the Chief Justice has laid out. The people you are about to meet today are the best of the best, and today is a time of recognition and gratitude. We believe that it is important to continue with the tradition of ceremony. We come together to celebrate individuals whose lives exemplify dedication, courage, and vision. Those who have shaped Alberta through their service, creativity, and their leadership. Their stories will remind us all that excellence is not a solitary pursuit, but a shared responsibility, one that invites each of us to lead with integrity, to give with generosity, and to live with intention. As we begin the ceremony, may we be inspired by the example of those 9 people that we honor here today, and may we move forward with renewed resolve to help shape a future defined by respect, inclusion, and hope. Now, before we meet these remarkable individuals, it is my pleasure to invite the King's representative in Alberta and our Chancellor of the Alberta Order of Excellence, the Honourable Salma Lakhani, Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, to say a few words. Your Honour, I yield the floor to you.
Thank you, Gary. As His Majesty the King's representative in Alberta and as a settler, I acknowledge all First Peoples who have called this place home for thousands of years and who welcomed us here to make our own lives. May we always dwell together on these lands with respect, understanding, and a sincere commitment to walking the journey of reconciliation, and now I say reconciliation. With that, I'd like to say good afternoon, everyone. And it is such a pleasure for me to welcome each and every one of you here today to this, our government house, Alberta's ceremonial home, as was pointed out by the Chief Justice. This home belongs to all Albertans, and during my tenure, I have tried my best to get as many different people and organizations to come into Government House to celebrate. So this is a fittingly historic setting in which to welcome today's remarkable honorees, our 9 new members of the Alberta Order of Excellence. The individuals being invested into the Alberta Order of Excellence today are those who have made significant contributions to the improvement of our province, sparking innovation and meaningful social change. They have strengthened the quality of life that we are so fortunate to enjoy with their leadership, their generosity, their pioneering spirits, and their determination to sharing Alberta's character and to moving Alberta forward. And while they are doing so to make their mark upon the world, they have never lost sight of their responsibility to give back to their communities. While each new member paves the way for future generations in a unique and meaningful way, there is a common element at the heart of what they do, a philosophy that the poet Ralph Waldo Emerson captured in these simple words, and I quote, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail," unquote. Our new members have not only focused their time and talents on making a difference in the here and now, but also on ensuring that their work will inspire greater well-being, understanding, and opportunity for generations to come. All of you, our honorees today, represent the very best of the principles that stand at the heart of who we are as Albertans and Canadians, and I know that your examples will continue to light the way forward for us all. The world is truly a better place because of people like you. As His Majesty the King's representative and Chancellor of the Alberta Order of Excellence, it is my pleasure to recognize and congratulate Sine Chadi, Jeffrey Cumming, John Day, Brian Felesky, Stephanie Felesky, Nichole Neubauer, Lauralyn Radford, John Scott, and Douglas Stollery. I offer my most heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for all your contributions. Thank you for brightening our world with your considerable talents, your compassion, and your thoughtful citizenship. It is an honor to share this special moment with you and your loved ones who are all here, and I want to say a special thank you to all the family members, loved ones, and friends who have supported our honorees here today. Thank you all, and let's enjoy the celebration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I'd like to, first of all, introduce my fellow council members whose insight and guidance were crucial in selecting these exceptional Albertans whom we are about to meet. The Alberta Order of Excellence council members are Sharon Carey of Cochrane, Alberta, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Hodgson of the City of Edmonton, Manjeet Minhas of Calgary, Jerry Nakvi of Edmonton. Our Executive Director is Gail Stannard, and not with us today is Chief Jim Boucher of Fort Mackay. My sincere thanks to each and every one of you for the work that you do throughout the year. Just so you know, Gail runs us all through a presentation, sort of a rehearsal. If you thought a wedding rehearsal was complicated, you should try this. But now, this is the good part. It's my great honor to introduce the recipients of the 2025 Alberta Order of Excellence to her honor, and through her to everyone gathered here today. On behalf of the Council, it is my honor to present Sine Chadi for membership in the Alberta Order of Excellence. Sine Chadi likes to tell a story about being a high school senior and predicting to his friends that someday he would be a millionaire by the time he was 25. It says a lot about Sine's determination to succeed and the confidence that he had in himself. In his teens, he worked alongside his father in the fur trade. By his 20s, he had already established an insurance house, a mortgage company, a real estate brokerage, all of them successful. By his 30s, he was the CEO of Imperial Equities, a major industrial and agricultural landlord. Sine has made plenty of money over the course of his life, but riches were never the goal in and of itself. He has a well-earned reputation as someone who is just as likely to direct his money towards community causes as new business ventures. That was the case in 2000, when he became aware that the school operated by Edmonton's historic Al-Rashid Mosque had become greatly overcrowded. Sine secured them a new property and used his connections to obtain financing to allow construction to continue. Sine answered the call again in 2014 when a fire destroyed the Roxy Theatre, the longtime home of Theatre Network. He advised them on their rebuilding plans and made one of the largest donations to their reconstruction plans. And he did it again in the early 2020s when the Nina Haggerty Center for the Arts was struggling to pay off its mortgage. Sine lobbied the city to provide mortgage relief, led a fundraising campaign to make up the shortfall, and kicked in a substantial amount of his own money to establish an endowment. And these are just the most public examples of Sine's generosity for others. But his friends and associates could tell literally dozens of stories about other anecdotes of Sine helping families pay medical bills, refugees to gain employment, and children with disabilities to get treatment. Sine even tried his hand at provincial politics in the early 1990s, serving a successful term as the MLA for the riding of Edmonton-Roper before returning to the private sector. So today, if you're in the habit of attending fundraisers, you might see him front and center, serving as either an MC or an auctioneer. Sine Kassim Chadi's story is one of vision and service, a man who rose from humble beginnings to entrepreneurial success, who served Albertans in public office, and who has dedicated his life to philanthropy that uplifts communities and individuals alike. He has shown that boldness and risk-taking can build businesses, but empathy and humility build stronger societies. For his outstanding contributions, it is my honor on behalf of the Council to name Sine Kassim Chadi as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, Sine. On behalf of the Council, I am honored to present Geoff Cumming for membership in the Alberta Order of Excellence. Geoffrey Cumming is an economist and a businessman whose generous philanthropic efforts have benefited health initiatives and medical research facilities around the world. Geoff has said that his life can be divided fairly neatly into thirds. Let's take those thirds in turn. The first third consisted of education and getting started in life. Geoff earned his BA in economics at the University of Calgary, where he graduated first in his class. He might not have realized his full potential, but for the fact that his academic advisor secretly submitted an application on Geoff's behalf to his alma mater in the United Kingdom. The next thing we knew is that Geoff had been accepted to the London School of Economics. Upon his return to Canada, he landed a job with the Alberta government under then Premier Peter Lougheed, doing work for the Department of Federal and Intergovernmental Affairs. Now came the second third, hard work. Geoff's government job put him in frequent contact with an American trade negotiator who suggested that he move into the private sector. So he spent some time at the Royal Bank before joining the investment dealer Peters and Company as head of mergers and acquisitions. Then he caught the eye of an energy tycoon who who installed him as president of Gardner Oil and Gas and later CEO of its parent corporation. Now Geoff was making an impact, and he was asked to sit on corporate boards around the world. Which brings us to the third part of Geoff's life, giving back. According to Geoff, he was not a particularly philanthropic person until he reached his 60s, but he's more than made up for lost time. In 2014, he made a major donation to the University of Calgary to fund studies of the brain and the microbiome. Those are the tiny organisms that live in your gut. And at the time, this was the largest single donation to a Canadian university. In 2022, Geoff made history again with a major donation to the Doherty Institute in Melbourne, Australia, which established the Cumming Global Centre for Pandemic Therapeutics, an institute that is developing strategies for managing complex pathogens and avoiding future pandemics. Geoff is also an avid mountain climber, and he scaled peaks around the world. He has learned that resilience and perseverance are just as important as being a technical climber. Geoff, I think you've carried that over into all aspects of your life. In recognition of his outstanding contributions, it is my honor on behalf of the Council to name Jeffrey Alexander Cumming as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, Geoff. On behalf of the Council, I'm honored to present John Day for membership in the Alberta Order of Excellence. John Day is a lawyer and a real estate developer whose projects have revitalized neighborhoods in Edmonton and Jasper. As the board chair of numerous organizations, he has played a key role in expanding educational institutions, raising money for medical research, and attracting millions of dollars of investment into the province of Alberta. You could say that he was born into the development business. In the 1960s, his father was part of a consortium that created mountain park lodges. It took a long time, though, before he moved from that field himself, instead choosing to spend the next few decades practicing law. We can only speculate how different Edmonton's skyline would be if John did not devote his talented law efforts to, in fact, be focused on redevelopments. That's because John is responsible for some of the most distinctive buildings and reclamation projects in the last 3 decades. Were it not for John, the old Cecil Hotel might be gone. Instead, today, it's an attractive commercial structure in the corner of 104th and Jasper Avenue. Were it not for John, the historic Garneau Theatre near the University of Alberta might be gone. Instead, today, it is the thriving home of Metro Cinema with a restored marquee and a cluster of locally owned businesses bordering the entrance. Perhaps somebody would have come along and built something new on these sites, as well as the old Hub Cigar building on White Avenue, or the century-old Uncle Albert's building, or the Kelly Ramsey building in the downtown core, which is now the Enbridge Center. Perhaps. But those developers likely would not have taken the care that John did to retain the original building's character, or to ensure that they reflected their surroundings, or to spend the money on materials and architectural details that made these buildings into neighborhood landmarks. He exhibited the same forward-thinking attitude when he was appointed chair of the Board of Governors of MacEwan University. He was instrumental in executing the plan to consolidate MacEwan into a single central campus in downtown Edmonton. For all the work that he did in Edmonton, John always still kept one foot in Jasper. Jasper's distinctive character is in no small part because of John's influence as the longtime chair of Mountain Park Lodges. And when wildfires devastated the town, John headed up a group of business leaders that helped secure assistance for Jasper residents and business owners seeking to rebuild. Despite his busy calendar, John has always found time to chair countless charities, committees, and economic development initiatives. In recognition of his outstanding contributions, it is my honor, on behalf of the Council, to name John Day as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, John. On behalf of the Council, I am honored to present Brian Felesky for membership into the Alberta Order of Excellence. Brian Felesky is an internationally respected lawyer, businessman, and philanthropist whose work has improved the lives of many, including victims of domestic abuse, grieving fathers, and students in East Africa. One of his current projects is aimed at nothing less than revolutionizing the organ and tissue transplant system in Alberta. It should not be surprising to see Brian taking on such ambitious projects in his 80s. He has never bought into the idea that your experience suddenly becomes worthless once you turn 70. In fact, he co-founded the Top 7 Over 70 Awards, which recognized so-called super seniors who have made notable achievements in their fields well into their golden years. 6 years ago, along with his friend Jim Gray, he co-founded Intergen, a program that pairs young entrepreneurs with senior mentors. If you think that sounds a bit like a matchmaking service, you're not far off. Intergen has facilitated nearly 1,800 pairings to date and helped its participants raise more than $250 million in capital. Now, Brian is also one of the country's top corporate lawyers. He was called to the bar in 1969 and founded the esteemed Felesky Flynn law firm in 1978, which specializes in complex corporate transactions and tax law. And in the early 1990s, when the Government of Canada was preparing to introduce the GST, Brian helped guide them through the process as vice chair of the implementation committee. But Brian's greatest impact on the world has arguably been through his charitable work. He has set up programs to help lawyers deal with addiction issues, to provide legal assistance to low-income individuals, and to rehabilitate domestic abusers. He's the co-founder of AWALI, an organization that works with the Aga Khan Development Network to provide support for training teachers in East Africa. For nearly 3 decades, Brian has headed up a support group to help fathers suffering from the grief of having lost a child. His empathetic spirit shines through in everything that he does. Brian and Stephanie live a life of community giving and their community service through their support of organizations in the province, in the country, and around the globe. Some years ago, in Brian's capacity as a member of the International Development Research Center, they attended the opening of a de-addiction center in India, and they received an embrace from none other than Mother Teresa. That might be the ultimate endorsement of Brian's life of service, but we're going to do our best to match that tonight. For his outstanding contributions, it is my honor on behalf of the Council to name Brian Felesky as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, Brian. On behalf of the Council, I am honored to present Stephanie Felesky for membership in the Alberta Order of Excellence. Stephanie Felesky's advocacy work has earned her national recognition as one of Canada's most respected volunteers and philanthropists. She is known as a community leader. She has helped found numerous organizations aimed at caring for hospitalized infants, building stronger communities, and creating affordable housing. Even as a young woman pursuing her education degree, Stephanie projected a desire to engage with the world and to help others. She grew up in a household where human rights and the ongoing civil rights movement in the United States were regular topics of discussion. As a teen, when she heard about a rally organized by the Canadian Council of Christians and Jews, she was the youngest person in the room. As she got older, she continued to volunteer her time with a long list of organizations and good causes, fighting breast cancer, helping sick children. Stephanie was especially active with the United Way, heading up committees, organizing fundraising campaigns, co-directing their children's initiative, and eventually serving as board chair. She was the founding chair of the United Way's Children's Initiative, now known as Upstart. And in 2001, Stephanie and Brian became the first couple to co-chair the United Way's annual campaign. Now, it seems impossible for Stephanie to hear about a social problem and not set up an organization to deal with it. Is homelessness a problem in Calgary, and is it worsening? She helped establish the Calgary Homeless Foundation and then the Calgary Affordable Housing Foundation. Oh, and then she organized a campaign that raised millions of dollars for low-cost housing. Does the Foothills Hospital need more capacity to treat critically ill newborns? Stephanie co-chaired a successful capital campaign to expand the NICU, the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. Is there more the Calgary Police could do to help marginalized members of the population? She joined the Calgary Police Commission and then helped found the Calgary Police Youth Foundation. And are there schools in Tanzania that need teachers training college? She helped organize a campaign that raised millions of dollars to that cause. She has served on a long list of corporate boards, a newspaper advisory board, and the Board of Governors at the University of Calgary, among others. Stephanie is known to say, when you volunteer, you get more than you give. And when you volunteer and do good work with one organization, well, that leads to another. And tonight, we are continuing that chain of events. For her outstanding contributions, it is my honor on behalf of the Council to name Stephanie L. Felesky as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, Stephanie. On behalf of the Council, I am honored to recommend Nichole Neubauer for membership in the Alberta Order of Excellence. Nichole Neubauer is a farmer and educator who has dedicated her life to sharing her passion for agriculture. The programs she has developed have given tens of thousands of young people immersive experiences in farm life. Nichole is quite likely the first inductee into the AOE who has also been a Stampede Princess. She earned that title in 1992 at the Medicine Hat Stampede and Exhibition, and this came with many duties, including giving inspirational talks to kids and promoting the Western way of life. And this job suited her perfectly. She had grown up on a family farm. She enlisted in the local 4-H club. She loved the whole routine of caring for animals, riding horses, and cultivating crops. When she began working in the school system, Nichole realized that an alarmingly small number of kids had never had a direct contact with the world that she cared about and loved so much. So she organized a series of immersive day trips to the Neubauer farm. These were successful enough to inspire her to develop a full slate of community classrooms designed to help kids appreciate the link between the food they ate at home and the farms where it all originated. Then she had a more ambitious plan. She wondered, what if instead of visiting someone else's farm for a day or two, it was possible for kids to operate a farm on their own? And this was the idea between the Agriculture Discovery Center, a student-run working farm situated on land at the Irvine School. Here, kids could learn how to raise steers, lambs, goats, pigs, and hens. They had a garden to cultivate and a composting system to manage. And at the end of the season, they sold off their produce and they auctioned off their livestock. She is now expanding her message. She is working with industry to create more courses for Alberta schools, including Medicine Hat College and online availability. She is developing the South Alberta School of Agriculture in hopes of growing the agricultural workforce. Now, Nichole doesn't expect every participant in her programs to make a living in agriculture, but she does hope they come away with an understanding that it provides a more diverse array of career options than they might ever have realized. You could say that she never stopped fulfilling her duties as a Stampede Princess, bridging the gap between rural and urban Alberta, serving as an ambassador for Alberta farms. In recognition of her outstanding contributions, it is my honor, on behalf of the Council, to name Nichole Neubauer as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, Nichole. On behalf of the Council, I am honoured to present Lauralyn Radford for membership in the Alberta Order of Excellence. Lauralyn Radford is an educator, organizer, and sports administrator, but those titles by themselves don't really capture her. She's one of those rare people that can look at a city and picture what incredible things could happen if it only realized its full potential. What's more, even when nobody else can quite see it, she knows how to motivate people into realizing her vision, and she has the energy to see the whole project through to the end. Red Deer would undoubtedly look very different without her. She has been instrumental in attracting major athletic competitions to the city, lobbying for improvements to the infrastructure, and injecting millions into the local economy. Her first major project involved finding a better venue for her daughter's gymnastics club. It sounds like a modest goal, but the proposal that Lynn brought to City Hall was anything but modest. Loan us $1 million, she said, and we'll build a proper gymnastics center and pay you back the money in 15 years. It actually only took 6. She performed a similar transformation when she joined Red Deer College's Board of Governors. At the time, it was a local community college, but Lynn thought it could be more. Sure enough, within a few years, she helped guide its transition to a full-fledged polytechnic university. Between those two victories, Lynn had also been involved in organizing several athletic events in town: the Labatt Brier, the World Junior Hockey Championships, the Alberta Summer Games, the Alberta Senior Games, and the Western Canada Games among them. Soon, Lynn began to feel Red Deer had a good shot at winning a bid to host the 2019 Canada Winter Games. Did others share her optimism? No, not at first. But by the time the evaluation committee came to town, Lynn had whipped up such enthusiasm that the evaluation committee were greeted by the sight of thousands of residents of Red Deer, all dressed in red t-shirts, filling the downtown streets. And of course, they were successful. That's the level of commitment that Lynn is famous for, whether she's raising funds for Ronald McDonald House or sitting on the boards of countless sports clubs or chairing task forces to fight homelessness. Lynn's impact on sport in Alberta has been immense, and she is the first to say she's not an athlete. Nevertheless, she's one of the rare non-athletes to be inducted into the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame. In recognition of her outstanding contributions, it is my honor on behalf of the Council to name Lauralyn Radford as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, Lynn. On behalf of the Council, I am honored to present John Scott for membership into the Alberta Order of Excellence. John Scott is a legendary rancher, stuntman, and champion of the Alberta film industry. John spent much of his childhood on a ranch in Longview that his grandfather and great-uncles established in 1904, learning to ride and care for horses. When he wasn't living like a cowboy in real life, he was watching cowboys on screen at the local Hitch and Post movie theater. Not that these movies gave you a particularly realistic picture of life on the range, but by the late 1960s, movies were starting to change. Directors were taking cliched genres like the Western and treating them with a new level of authenticity. That often meant shooting on location, which in turn meant recruiting locals like John who knew their way around horses to serve as extras and do the occasional stunt. By the end of the 1970s, John had racked up some impressive credits. Little Big Man, starring Dustin Hoffman, Buffalo Bill and the Indians with Paul Newman, and Days of Heaven, starring Richard Gere. When Premier Peter Lougheed formed Alberta's first film commission in 1980, John had enough profile to be invited to sit in on the meetings with producers, attend movie trade shows, and talk up Alberta as an attractive movie location. And if you were a moviegoer in the 1990s, you almost certainly saw the results of his efforts. Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven, Sir Anthony Hopkins in Legends of the Fall. Without John, there would have been hundreds of horse wranglers, stunt performers, and other crew members who never would have experienced working on a high-end film production. And those productions kept coming, many of them attracted by the presence of John Scott Productions, where filmmakers have access to almost everything a person needs to shoot a Western. Authentic sets, props, vehicle rentals, and of course John himself and his half a century of experience. John has 67 film and TV credits as a stunt performer and 51 as an animal wrangler, which would include The Revenant and Brokeback Mountain. And more than 150 productions have been shot on his ranch. John has not forgotten about real-life cowboys, though. He was not only one of the co-founders of Stunts Canada, he also founded Canada's first steer riding school. And all while operating on a working ranch where he raises cattle, horses, and bison. And of course, every year he also supplies to the Calgary Stampede Parade his horses. John has said this, pretty much everything I got, I owe to a horse. And much of what the Alberta film industry has, we owe to John Scott. In recognition of his outstanding contributions, it is my honor on behalf of the Council to name John Scott as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, John. On behalf of the Council, I am honored to present Douglas Stollery for membership in the Alberta Order of Excellence. Douglas Stollery is a lawyer and community service volunteer whose philanthropic efforts, along with his work on groundbreaking human rights legislation, have helped create a safer and more equitable place for all Canadians. His leadership in numerous nonprofit organizations has helped achieve victories against poverty, against disease, and against discrimination around the world. Friends ask friends for favors, maybe to help them move or to drive them to the airport. In Doug Stollery's case, an old friend from law school had a bigger favor to ask: to take a groundbreaking charter case to the Supreme Court of Canada. That was in 1991. Before then, Doug was a successful lawyer whose bona fides included a clerkship under a Supreme Court justice and a postgraduate degree from Harvard University. His specialty was construction law, a field that rarely required him to argue a case in court, let alone the highest court in all of Canada. But as a gay man and lifelong believer in human rights, the case of Delwyn Vrend, who had been fired from his job because of his sexual orientation, spoke to him with great urgency. The task before him was daunting. Charter rights were not his area of legal expertise, and nobody had ever successfully argued a gay rights case before the Supreme Court of Canada. Nevertheless, they found unanimously in Doug and his co-counsel's favor a victory not just for Delwyn Vrend, but for all S2L LGBTQ Canadians. If this were Doug's only accomplishment, his status as an outstanding Albertan would already be secure. But in fact, it's just one example of how Doug has championed good causes. Through the Victorious School Foundation for the Arts, which he co-founded, he has supported arts education for young people. Through Care Canada, he has battled poverty and inequity around the world. In 2013, he became the president of the Stollery Charitable Foundation, the endowed fund his parents launched in 1994. Under Doug's leadership, the Stollery name continues to be synonymous with charitable giving and community development throughout the province of Alberta. His experience in the nonprofit sector served him well when he accepted an appointment as Chancellor at the University of Alberta. Doug was a bridge between the world of academia and the surrounding neighborhood. As he sees it, these two groups have identical goals: advancing the lives of people within the community. And that has been Doug's long life goal as well. He has been tapped numerous times to step up and work to better the lives of others. He never refuses the call. In recognition of his outstanding contributions, it's my honor on behalf of the Council to name Douglas R. Stollery as a member of the Alberta Order of Excellence. Congratulations, Doug. My warmest congratulations to each of the 9 remarkable citizens joining the ranks of the Alberta Order of Excellence this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the ceremony portion of today's program. Thank you for celebrating with us, friends, family, and I ask you to stand if you are able as we close with O Canada. After O Canada, I invite everybody to proceed to the second floor for a pre-dinner reception, and please feel free to explore the house.
We